Hello everyone, welcome to the Sean Show Season 2 Episode 6. We're back. Week 3 of NFL football is over and we are already in to Week 4. Lovely stuff. Let's look at the agenda really quickly. It's basically the same as usual. This has turned into a betting show, so guess what? We're going to talk about our bets, we're going to talk about our predictions. So first up, we're going over Week 3 sim results, Week 4 sim prediction, ATS against the spread picks, lines we like, and then our overall bets. For those of you who are new to the channel, before the season started, we created a simulation model every game of the whole season. If you want to see the results of that, go and check out the earlier part of the season, and you can see who we think is going to the playoffs based on a pre-season pick of every single game of the league. And these are the sim results for Week 3. First up on Thursday Night Football, the Bills took out the Miami Dolphins. No surprise there. Big surprise with the Atlanta Falcons going down 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers last week. That was straight out of the water. Nobody would have expected that one. Green Bay losing a tight end of the game against the number one defense in the league, the Cleveland Browns. The Texans also losing their, I believe that's a divisional game, against the Jaguars. Don't have the result there, but the Vikings did beat the Bengals 48-10. Massive showout for Carson Wentz. I'm going to have to make a video about the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation over the past 10 years, from Mike Zimmer to Kevin O'Connell. They just seem to have quarterback success no matter who they plug in there. It's been actually kind of a wild situation to watch over the past decade, and I think it's kind of gone under the radar for a bit. What sparked it for me was when Case Keenum was doing really well with the Vikings, and I was like, this is not right. This is not right. No shade to Case Keenum there, but he's not an amazing quarterback, and he's definitely not the level of what he did in Minnesota on a consistent basis, at least. But from him onwards, it has been kind of golden over there. A little bit of a phenomena. Next up, we have the the Steelers taking out the Patriots. The Philadelphia Eagles winning that big game against the Rams 33-26. Tampa Bay finishing off the Jets in a close one. Another final game drive for Baker Mayfield to take the win. Fourth quarter win. The Colts beat the Tennessee Titans in a divisional matchup. The Sim picked the Raiders to take out Washington Commanders. I guess they thought they were going to be much better than they are, but it seems like the Raiders this season are actual cheeks. Unfortunately, Geno Smith has thrown a whole family of goddamn interceptions, so good luck to the Raiders. Good luck to the Raiders and Tom Brady with the new ownership there. Hopefully he can start to steer the ship in the right way. He's been up in the play caller box at least in week 2, and a lot of people weren't very happy about it. But you know, he could have just been listening to how the coaches up there operate and give some feedback on that. Anyway, moving on to another divisional game. I do believe the simulation picked the Denver Broncos to win. Excuse that little green blot there on the Chargers, but Chargers won the game. Seahawks took out the Saints, no surprise there. Chicago Bears beating the Cowboys. That was a bit of an upset there. I guess a bit of a surprising one, but Chicago has kind of been competitive in their games this season, so it's no surprise that they're starting to chalk up W's there. Next up on Sunday Night Football, the San Francisco Niners took out their divisional rival, the Arizona Cardinals, in a barn-burning 16-15 close game. Then 2 games on Monday, we had the Kansas City Chiefs taking out the Giants, and then the Lions making a statement win against the Ravens there. The Sim did pick the Ravens, no surprise, based on last season's games and based on the change of OC and DC for the Detroit Lions in the offseason. But hey, guess they righted the course to their ship much quicker than the sim would have expected. Now, we went 9-7 this week for the sim straight up. Picks a pick rate of 56.3, which is exactly the same as last week. And now we're going to move on to this week's Sims picks for the games. And I'll also do my picks as well, just hedging off a couple of things. Now, I'm not going to talk about injuries in this section. We'll talk about that in the against the spread section, where what we pick actually kind of matters to us. All right, week 4 simulation. It said that the Arizona Cardinals were going to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and they almost got there at the end of the game. It's just that the punter decided to try and do a squib kick after they tied the game 20-20, which let the Seahawks start at the 40, which is massive. All they had to do was get a couple first downs, punch that field goal in, and they got their ticket to a W, 23-20. That was a really good game. I was listening to that one. I got to watch the final kick. I was on my lunch break at work when it was happening, and I walked past a dude who was actually watching it on his phone. I was listening to it through my headset. But yeah, pretty cool little moment there. Pretty cool little moment. Would have been a great great thing to watch at the end of the game. Next up, alright, so this week we have in Dublin, Ireland, we have the Minnesota Vikings versus the Steelers, and it's regarded as a Steelers home game here. The simulation has picked the Steelers, and I am inclined to go with them. Carson Wentz football is here in effect. I don't know how the Minnesota Vikings travel. I don't know how the Steelers travel. This should be an interesting game. Anything can happen. It could be a massive score. A team that's typically quite good can drop a big shit in when it's one of these international games, especially when it is all the way over to Europe. Brazil is a little bit of a different story because it's South America. It's not that far of a trip. Next up, we do have the Washington Commanders going into Atlanta. I'm picking the Washington Commanders here, just like the Sim has there. Sim has also picked the Bills. I feel like that's a no-brainer. Sim here has picked the Cleveland Browns. Now, I'm inclined to go with the Detroit Lions here. The Browns are great, but based off what happened, their defense is great, sorry. But based off what happened last week to the Packers, I feel like Detroit is going to try and make another statement win here and try to put up at least 30 points on this team, who has not taken that many this season. So I do think they're going to try and make a statement here, and that is reflected. I think it's reflected in our $1 million bet. Anyway, I'm going with the Lions here myself. Cleveland could definitely snatch away a win here, but the that offense for the Lions is extremely high-powered. And one massive difference between the Lions and the Green Bay Packers is that the Detroit Lions will actually go for it quite a lot on 4th down. So drives that would have stopped for the Packers are likely to continue with the Detroit Lions because of that 4th down attempt percentage that they have. Very ballsy play style, and it gets you a lot of wins, and it gets you a lot of points. So I'm not going to throw any shade to it. Next up, we have the divisional game. Tennessee Titans versus the Texans. The Sim here has picked the Texans. I have not been hearing the greatest things out of Texans camp. Texans, I do believe, are the favorite here, but I think Tennessee can win this one. And I do love the Titans, but I am kind of inclined for Tennessee to go it here. The defense is not half bad. Their offense needs to get their shit sorted, and this could be the week they get it, while the Texans are trying to sort out their side of the offense. Next up, we've got the Carolina Panthers going into New England. The Sim has picked New England. I'm picking New England. Last week kind of throws a spanner in the works with both the Commanders and this Patriots game because of how Atlanta got absolutely shut out by a Carolina Panthers team who was kind of known, well, in the last few years, is known to have a lot of trouble. They haven't lost their games by a lot this season. I will say that they have kind of been hanging in there. And Bryce Young is likely starting to figure it out. I'm still going with the Patriots, though. In New England, I did hear that the defensive coordinator has been diagnosed with cancer as such, so he might be stepping away from the position. We don't know. But, you know, Mike Vrabel is a defensive coach, so if he needs to step in, it's not going to be a big issue. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going into the Factory of Sadness 2.0 to take on the New York Giants. Chargers are favorites. Sims picked the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers. Jackson Dart is starting though. This could be a massive win for Jackson Dart. The Chargers, I believe, are 3-0 right now. Very strong start for them. Something that they honestly should have been doing for the past 5 years, because that team has always been loaded ever since they got Justin Herbert. It's just been disappointing, honestly, but this could be the season. Let's go Bolts. Now, having said that about Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo will be the starting running back, as there has been an injury to, I believe his name is Tyrone Tracy, just off the top of my head. Cam Scatterboo is an exciting player, though. Throw that man on a touchdown parlay for sure. Again, back to Jackson Dart. I do believe there is only a handful of players in NFL history that have beaten a 3-0 team in their first start. Now, that is a very specific situation. You have to be entering your first game as a starter into the league in week 4, and you have to be versing a team that is 3-0. So, as rare it is to get this situation, it is just as rare for these rookie quarterbacks to win in these situations. But hey, Jackson Dart could do it, and this could be the start of a whole new era with the Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, and Malik Neighbors' three-headed beast for the New England Giants, for the New York Giants offense right there. Next, big game here, another big game for the Tampa Bay Bucks, another big game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Simulations pick the Eagles. I think Eagles are favored. I think the Eagles will probably win this game, but against the spread, I'm going with Tampa here, just because every game of theirs has been close, and they could pull it out of the bag. Next up, we've got the Colts versus LA. The Colts had a lot of faith in Danny Dimes, and it also was under the impression that Matthew Stafford would get a back injury after getting hit. I think he's been fairly clean this season. Sims picked the Colts. I'm also going to pick the Colts. They're just on a really good run right now. Daniel Jones is slinging the pill. I'm going Colts. Okay, now we've got the Jacksonville Jags going into San Fran. I'm picking San Fran here. Brock Purdy is back this week. Moving on to another massive AFC showdown, the Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs. The Sim has picked the Chiefs. This is a really tough pick. I think I'm going the Ravens here. I think. This is just a tough one. Neither team has looked like what they have in the past. So it's a tough one. The Sim could be right. I could be right. Someone else could be right. Who knows? Chicago going into the Raiders. Sims pick Chicago. I pick Chicago. Sorry, LV. Next we got the Packers and the Cowboys. Neato little stat. Packers have never lost in AT&T Stadium. I think they are 6-0 there. So that's pretty sweet. Sims pick Packers. I pick Packers. Let's go, cheeseheads. Now we got 2 games on Monday. We got the Jets versus the Dolphins, which is going to be an interesting game. Dolphins might start to get their shit figured out. They really need to shake up that offense that they have, because they keep on getting stunted. Tyreek Hill is looking to be in better form than he has last season and the start of this season, so he might be a bit more healthy. The Jets, I think Justin Fields is back from concussion protocol. The Sim has picked the Jets because it touted this team to be quite good, and it touted the Dolphins to still kind of shit the bed at the start of this season. And I'm also inclined to go with the Jets here. They got a good defense. They got a good offense. They just, that culture change, and once that culture change is shifted, for the Jets, this team could be actually quite good. Don't know what their limit is. We have to find out with Justin Fields getting more starts, but it has looked very, very promising this season. And on Monday Night Football, we've got the Bengals versus the Denver Broncos. Sims picked the Broncos here. I'm also picking the Broncos. Jake Browning is still starting for the Bengals. Joe Burrows will be out for quite a bit with that severe turf toe injury. Yeah, I'm going with the Denver Broncos here as well. This one feels like a little bit of a no-brainer. You could throw Buddy up for a interception as well, because this is a very good Denver Broncos defense. Now let's go to our against the spread section. This is where we do our picks. I needed to explain to you that the season record right now for the sim is 28 to 21. Not the greatest. There's been some iffy weeks here, but we are still positive with a season pick rate of 57.1. I am not tracking my own personal picks. I am tracking the against the spread picks, which have been absolutely terrible. Last week's record we went 5-10, just like week 2. We did much better in week 1, going 9-5. I don't think the spread has been very friendly to a lot of punters this season, honestly. I remember when I look back at week 2, I was pretty shitted off. I was like, hey, against the spread sucks. And then I watched a bunch of betting shows, and they also struggled in that week, and I'm assuming they struggled last week as well. So hopefully things start to turn around, or else the books are just going to keep on making money. Keep on making money. Okay. We know the score of Seahawks Cardinals. Don't need to go over that. Now, the Minnesota Vikings are favored at 2.5 in Dublin with Carson Wentz starting. I am going with the Steelers here. Alex Highsmith is out for them. These are both cold weather teams. Don't know what the weather in Ireland is like right now, but it's regularly quite dreary. So either team could succeed here. I just think that TJ Watt might be able to get to Carson Wentz, cause some disruption there, and then we might see some classic Carson Wentz football. Who knows though? The books definitely know more than I do. The second game, we have the Commanders and the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 1.5 points. Marcus Mariota is still starting for the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels has a knee injury. The Falcons, they're looking pretty healthy, honestly. Only 3 injuries on the injured list here, being out. Could be a great game. I'm actually going with the Commanders in this one. Not sure why. I couldn't tell you. I think maybe it's just the defense. Not sure if Atlanta yet are the team that is able to make a statement win, just like the Lions can. But this could be the week for them, especially home in Mercedes. I think it's Mercedes-Benz. Who knows? Who knows what stadium they're in? I think I might actually flip my pick over to the... No. I'm going to let this one ride with the Commanders. Positive money here. Next up, we got the Bills getting 15.5 points against the Saints in Buffalo. I'm going to be a massive mark here. I'm going with the Bills. 15.5 points is a lot of points. It's a lot of points. Full stop. They can probably do it. The Rattler is not the man. They need to make him. They need to make a change at quarterback in New Orleans. They just drafted a guy. What are we doing? Absolutely, what are we doing? Maybe they're waiting till they have a better matchup to throw him in. They've seen what they've got with Rattler, and it's not amazing. He didn't turn over the ball last week, though. Still going Bills. Next, we have the Browns and Detroit Lions. Detroit getting 9.5 points at home. I'm going with the Browns here, with the positive, the plus 9.5, just in case they do what they did to the Packers and they do stifle the lines and keep it close just like they have in every other game. Probably not the case. Still going with the Browns here. I'm just hopeful, I guess, since I would like my divisional rival to lose some more games. Houston hosts the Tennessee Titans, getting 7.5 points at home. I'm going with the Titans here, the plus 7.5. The only favorite we have picked up until this point is the Bills, and that's good reason because these point spreads are quite large, at least for the these last two games. Tennessee, I think they're having trouble scoring points, but their defense is not terrible. The Texans have been having trouble on the offensive side. I think their offensive line is a bit busted up. Their receivers are healthy, but if your quarterback doesn't have time to throw and he's going to make something from nothing, then you're going to have a tough time. I'm going with the Titans here, plus 7.5. We got the Patriots hosting the Carolina Panthers, getting 5.5 points at home. I'm going with the Patriots here. That's all I got to say about that. Going with the Patriots. Chargers versus the New York Giants. I'm going with the Chargers here, 6.5 points. It's just a touchdown. They can do that quite easily, and it is a rookie quarterback starting. I do believe they're pretty good safety. What's his name? Can't remember his name, but he might be out. He might be injured for the Chargers. It could be big either way. I still think the Chargers here take it at 6.5 points, win by 1 touchdown. We've got the Eagles versus Tampa Bay. I'm taking Tampa Bay plus 3.5 here. I don't think there are really that many notable injuries outside of Mike Evans. And that's fine. Chris Godwin is listed as questionable, so he will likely play. And their rookie is an absolute dog. So, I'm going to take the plus money here. It could be a very close game, as Tampa's games have been. Then we have the Colts going into LA. LA here is the favorite at 3.5 points. I have picked the Colts. A lot of dogs on my side this week, to be honest. A lot of dogs. I've only picked 3 favorites so far. Then we've got the San Francisco Niners taking on the Jacksonville Jags. I'm taking the Niners here. Brock Purdy is back. The Jags have not taken that many rushing touchdowns, so I wouldn't be surprised that Brock Purdy is throwing for some touchdowns. That is also reflected in the $1 million bet as well, but we'll get to that one. Is George Kittle going to be in the game? Let me quickly find out. Doesn't say anything about him. Not sure if he's on IR. That's a good question. I can't answer that for you. But I am taking the Niners here, and I think you probably should as well. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said before, this is an AFC powerhouse of a game. 2.5 points going to the Ravens going into Kansas City, and I am taking that. Can't remember what I picked in the previous section when we were going over what the sim was picking, but I am going Baltimore Ravens here. Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders, basically a pick'em here. Who's going to win by 1 point? That's generally the prerequisites to win a sports game, is to at least win by 1 point. I'm going with the Bears here with the plus money. Like I said, the Raiders are very likely cheeks. They could pull out a really good defensive showing at home, but until Geno Smith stops turning over that ball, I'm going to be betting against them. Next up, we've got the Packers going into TNT Stadium. As I said before, they are undefeated in AT&T, and I am going with the Packers here. Just one thing to note, this Packers team, as of late, they have been kind of putting an end to a bunch of the records that Green Bay has had. Consecutive wins over Chicago Bears, you know, always being on the top of the NFC North. Just a couple of things that this Packers team has been able to put an end to some of their kind of more interesting stat line runs, and this could be one of them. Dak Prescott football is Dak Prescott football. CD Lamb is out of this game, which does not help the Cowboys at all. But, you know, George Pickens still a threat. I think they might still have Ferguson at the tight end. Like, these players are good players. And Dak Prescott football is Dak Prescott friggin' football. I'm going to stick with my guns and go with the Packers. I am just warning. This could be a big upset. Now for Monday, we've got the Jets and the Dolphins. Dolphins are favored 2.5 points. I'm going with the Jets here. You already know how I feel about that team. Bengals versus the Broncos for Monday Night Football. Broncos are favored at 7.5. I'm taking... Why did I pick the Bengals? I am switching over to the Broncos. That was a very dumb pick. I think it's just been because most of the Broncos games have not been resounding wins. They've just been kind of tight wins, low-scoring affairs. And then you do have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on that offense. So, you know, anything could happen. Anything could happen, but I am going with the Broncos here. Those are my against the spread picks. Last week was absolute cheeks, 5-10. Season record right now is struggling at 19-25. Let's hope we pick it up this week. But these spreads have been very well selected by the books. I will say this season has been very difficult to kind of figure out what's happening here. Next section is Week 4 lines we like. These are usually on the left side. I've changed it up. On the left side, we've got kind of bigger spreads, I guess you could say. These are big money bets that will net you a tasty profit if they kind of tick up and win there. And then lines we like on the right side. These are just little things to pump up any of your bets. So basically simple over-unders. That will be, I don't know how you guys do it in the US, but basically for us it would be like a 1.8 to 1 bet. Something nice to chunk up your bets. Anyway, let's go over it. So long shots this week. I think the New York Giants might be able to pull out a win here against the Chargers. This could be one of those situations where a team is riding high. They're feeling really good. They're expecting to win against a pretty crappy opponent. And then guess what? The last week happens to you. So that's a bit of a long shot. It can be done. Carolina Panthers money line against the New England Patriots, just riding off what they had last week. And with that that defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, things could be a little shaky, or the resolve could be very tight to pull out a win for him. The Carolina Panthers can't take this game though. I'm just saying. Next up, got the Cleveland Browns money line pulling out an upset against the Lions. This one is a long shot because that Lions offense is insane. This is the #1 defense in the league, though. The Cleveland Browns, they did put a stop to the Green Bay Packers last week. So, again, this is a possibility. This I don't know how the Cleveland Browns defense travels, but they are on the road to Detroit, and usually that defense is very good at home. Can be shaky on the road though. Long shot. Cleveland Browns. Next, we've got the big spreads section. So the Buffalo Bills, their spread right for this week right now is 15.5. I think you can probably chunk that one up. It is against the Saints and it is in Buffalo. You could probably chunk that one up to, I've got 20.5 there. You could chunk it up to maybe 25. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if 30 minus 30 happens like this. You got the reigning MVP here. I think this is going to be an absolute beating. Absolute beating. Next up, we've got Tennessee Titans money line against the Houston Texans. Like I said, so I wouldn't say this is a big spread. It's just that they're not the favorite, and they're not the favorite by not that much, honestly. It is 7.5 points to try and cover if you weren't going against the spread. But like I said, I think they can win this game. Texans might need to really, I don't know what their cap space is like, but they've got to do something about that offensive line, I believe. Next up, we've got the Chicago Bears. I think they could win this game by at least a touchdown. Again, the against the spread is a pick'em, so if you are possibly able to beef that up to a touchdown spread, it might be very well worth it. The Denver Broncos are 7.5 point favorites against the Bengals. Now, just remember, the Bengals quarterback situation right now is not great, but they do have some amazing wide receivers. Having said that, the Denver Broncos defense is a legitimate defense, and once that offense starts really clicking, we're going to see some big things out of this Denver Broncos team with Sean Payton and Bo Nix going into year 2 of their system. You can pump that one up to 2 touchdowns, basically 13.5 points. It's going to be tough for the Bengals. It's going to be tough, especially going into Denver for this one. Okay, so now we're just talking about the little things that can pump you up here, pump up your other parlays. So over and unders, I've got the Colts and the Rams total match points of over 49.5. We know the Rams can score points. They've got Devontae Adams, they've got Puka Nacua, they've got Kyron Williams. I think I'm just going to check if Tyler Higbee is healthy, because I did see his name here on the injury report just a moment ago. Where is it? Tyler Higbee is questionable, so he could play. Devontae Adams does have a hamstring there. Either way, this team can score points. There have been reports that Puka Nacua is playing absolutely out of his mind right now. And then the Colts, they have been absolutely blasting on offense. So this could go over 49.5. I think it might. Atlanta Falcons total points under 22.5. Yeah, sorry, Falcons. Just based off last week's showing and based off the scores that they've had for the rest of the season, 30 might be a bit much for them. The Washington Commanders defense does look quite healthy. Most of their injuries are on offense. So we'll see what this Atlanta Falcons offense is made of. Next up, we got Packers Cowboys total points over 46.5 points. I don't think the Packers are going to have trouble scoring in this game, and we do have Dak Prescott football, so points are going to be put on the board. This isn't really that difficult to achieve, basically. Like, you know, if the Packers manage 4 touchdowns, that's 28 points. And then the Cowboys just need to make up the rest. So it's not a very difficult line to grab there. I think it will go over that. Our props for this week. To chunk up your bets, Jake Browning to throw an interception against that Denver Broncos defense. We've got Geno Smith to throw another interception against the Chicago Bears defense. Jackson Dart to go over 32.5 rushing yards. My justification for this is that the Chargers defense is quite good. He's going to be under duress. His men might be covered up, and being a rookie quarterback, usually you want to try and make something of nothing. So typically I do believe rookie quarterbacks do rush quite a bit. And Jackson Dart, 32.5 rushing yards. I don't think that's otherworldly for a rookie quarterback. We've seen it happen many, many times, especially when they're not going into the best situations on offense and they really need to make something of it. Next, we've got Dak Prescott only rushing over 5 yards. He's going to be running away from Micah Parsons. He's going to be running away from the league sack leader right now, Rashawn Gary. He's going to have Edgerrin Cooper. He's going to have Luke Musgrave. All of these people in his face. He's going to have to make something. And especially if he's only got 3 real targets, I guess you could say, because Turpin is quite a good running back as well. He might need to just run the ball sometimes, and 5 yards is absolutely nothing. Dak Prescott can run the football. He's a big, strong man. Patrick Mahomes, over 26.5 rush yards. We know Patrick Mahomes likes to do anything he can to win, and if he needs to rush the ball, if there is a gap in front of him, he will rush the ball. Now, he might rack up all of these rush yards in the fourth quarter, but the thing is, he's going to rack them up. And that's that. Daniel Jones to get another touchdown this week. Last week, he did miss out of... He broke his streak of getting a touchdown every game this season. But, you know, had to get Jonathan Taylor some end zone paint because he has been really, taking it on the chin while the Daniel Jones dive, the Danny dive, the Dimes dive has been taking place on the goal line. Next, we've got Cam Scatterboot to pick up another TD. Again, he is the starting running back for this Giants team. The dude's electric. The dude's an absolute animal. Watch the touchdown he got last week. That was his second week in a row of getting a touchdown, and I think he's going to make up a third week this week. All right, the final section in tonight's show is Sunday football bets. We've got our 5-game parlay. Buffalo Bills minus 15.5. Tennessee Titans plus 7.5 against the Houston Texans. Atlanta Falcons money line, because I do think they can win that game against the Commanders. I could have contradicted myself like 5 times on that game during the show, and that's fine. My parlay includes Atlanta Falcons money line. Now, I've got the Indianapolis Colts with the plus points here at plus 3.5. I think they can win this game, and if they do lose a close one, at least we're covered. And then we've got the Green Bay Packers at minus 6.5, just because they do have the best bits of the Cowboys on their team. And they're looking to, I think they're looking to punch someone in the mouth after last week. I really, really think they're going to try and tack on points this week. Matt LaFleur really needs to, make this a statement win, since the rest of the NFC last week did come out with wins. And there's a good chance that even all 3 of them might come out with wins this week. Lions versus Browns. Minnesota in Dublin versus the Steelers with a hot Carson Wentz. And then we've got the Bears taking on a kind of crummy Raiders team. So again, I do think the Packers need to make a statement win out of this one, and winning by at least 1 touchdown could be a way to do that. Now, if you're new to the channel, something we do every week in NFL football is we do a $1 million parlay. This is a parlay with about $100,000 odds, so if you put $10 on there and everything here comes out, guess what? You're a millionaire. Now, I want to become a millionaire, and I want to do it the easy way, and I think you do as well. So this is how we do it. This week's $1 million parlay, Josh Allen to throw 4 touchdowns against the New Orleans Saints. We've got Baker Mayfield to get 1 touchdown on his own against the Philadelphia Eagles. This one is a tough one. I don't think Baker's run it into the end zone this season, but it is something he is very capable of doing. And when you've got a kind of tough defense like the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're very 2 young studs at cornerback, he might need to run one in himself and make up for that extra man on that style of play. Next, I've got Puka Nacua having a big game here with Devontae Adams having a hamstring and Tyler Higbee also being kind of questionable. Picking up 2 TDs here. Who are they playing? Tampa Bay. I don't think Tampa has really taken that many rushing touchdowns, which is why I haven't gone Kyren Williams here. So Matt Stafford is going to be feeding Puka Nacua here. I wouldn't be surprised if he is over for receptions hits as well. If you can make an alt on that and really jam that up, it's probably a good bet. Next, we've got Jared Goff throwing 4 passing touchdowns against that very tight Cleveland defense. Now, again, this is another one that I've contradicted myself on because it could very much go either way. And I know a lot of the money is probably on the Lions here. It's just that the Cleveland Browns rushing defense is absolutely insane. They have not taken that many rushing touchdowns this season. I think it might only be 1 or 2. The Lions are a two-headed beast at running back, but every running back that the Cleveland Browns have faced has been shut down. Now, Green Bay was able to shut down their running game, the Detroit Lions running game. So, by simple mathematics, with the Cleveland Browns having a better rush defense, we may need to see Jared Goff throw the ball quite a lot, and we may need to see him throw a lot of touchdowns. So we've got him on 4+ passing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 110+ rushing yards. You can probably pump this up a little bit. I don't think he's hit 110 more than once with the Packers, but the Cowboys, they in the last few seasons, they have been known to not be able to stop the run. So, Josh Jacobs, they might be able to finally get him going this season, and if they do, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Next, we got Brock Purdy, 3+ passing touchdowns. He is back. He is going to be versing, I don't even remember now, but he is going to be taking on the Jacksonville Jags. Now, their defense isn't horrible. They've got a really good rush defense. I think they've only taken 1 rushing touchdown this season as well, 1 or 2. So Brock Purdy's probably going to have to be throwing the ball. And then, yes, who likes to catch the ball out of the backfield? Christian McCaffrey. So Brock Purdy could very much get a 3 passing touchdown day, and that is our $1 million parlay. It is much smaller than our usual one. We've decided to take some bigger risks this week, going for some 4 passing touchdowns to chunk things up. That Baker Mayfield getting a touchdown is actually quite high odds. So if that one hits, you could probably just run that one by itself and get some good money. If I was to talk about it in terms of US pricing, I think right now it's like plus 800 or something like that. So just for him to run the ball in is going to be good money. Either way, that's the $1 million parlay. And guess what, guys? That was the Sean Show. Ep 2, Ep 6, Season 2, Week 4 NFL football. I'm excited. Get to watch a game of football tomorrow. That's right, that Dublin game. I'm excited. I get to... So in previous times, I've not been able to watch the NFL because of work, being a full-time jobber, but this season I've been able to listen to some games, and we've had a couple of games on our Australian Sunday, which is awesome. So I get to watch tomorrow's game in Dublin, Vikings versus Steelers. Let's go. What a great time of the year, NFL football. I'll catch you guys next week. You're going to be looking at putting out some more content, but yeah, enjoy the football, guys. Good luck with your bets.